Monster Hunter Rise. Oh, it's so close now. Can you taste it? It might even already be out by the time you watch this video. Won't that be fun? Anyway, it has two kinds of quests. Village quests, which are the single-player experience and will comprise the larger part of the initial story-driven parts of the game, and hub quests, which are designed as the multiplayer experience, although it does have full difficulty scaling, so regardless of whether you're doing hub quests solo or with a team of 2 or 3 or 4, difficulty will scale proportionally, and isn't that a wonderful thing? But as with any multiplayer experience, especially the more challenging modes and hunts you'll face in games like this, you will benefit significantly with efficient team communication. But the Nintendo Switch is of course notorious for lacking an inbuilt voice chat function, and frankly, voice chat with matchmaking assembled groups would probably still be miserable anyway. It usually is in most games. That said, Monster Hunter is a PvE game, there's no PvP, which means kind of by default it's a lot less toxic than most multiplayer games tend to be, but still, you know what I'm talking about. Voice chat is, well, it's voice chat. Luckily, well, actually, no, not luckily. That's unfair. Luck has nothing to do with this. This is a very deliberate thing. The Monster Hunter team have very carefully crafted and finally honed a system and woven it intrinsically into this game, a thing that is even better than voice chat most of the time. At least in this game, and at least in my opinion, I guess. And I'm going to tell you what and why. But hello again, I am Blunty. This is my guide for Monster Hunter starters by someone who only just started getting into Monster Hunter himself, so I've been learning all the beginner stuff the hard way, in anticipation for the release of Rise, and in this series of videos I'm imparting some of the most important stuff I have learned that veterans kind of take for granted, so you don't have to learn it the hard way, and the veterans don't have to remember to tell you about it. So I do hope this helps you, or at least you find it interesting, and if it does, or you do, please help me back with a thumb, a comment, maybe even a sub and a bell. Thank you very much if you do. I need help with the algorithm in any and every way. Now, of course, to really kick monster ass in a team, you'll want to work as a team. Coordinate. Avoid stepping in the way of other people's hard work and setups. Fill your role as best you can, and of course, have the other hunters respect your mission too and not get in your way. A lot of this comes with experience, and over a little time you'll start to glean a lot from just watching your teammates' behaviors. Almost like reading body language, you'll learn what they're up to before they're up to it. There are certain ways certain types of players will position themselves, and that tells you a lot about what they're up to next. It's not unlike reading the monster's own patterns. For a common example, when a monster gets put to sleep, if there is a great sword player on your team, they will usually position up near the head, they'll do a little backwards roll and step back a bit and wind up for their 3-stage combo so that their final furthest reaching hit will be the one that lands on the monster's face, because when they do that, they have the greatest single hit damage potential in the game. And it just so happens that the wake up hit on a monster does boosted damage, so it just makes sense to wake it up with the most powerful single hit in the game. And of course the face is almost always the most vulnerable spot on every monster, so it makes sense to hit it there. And if you do not see this behavioral communication, if you do not predict what happens next, and you go ahead and you slap the monster's foot with your little dual blades doing like 20 damage or something, you'll not only have completely wasted an opening for huge amounts of damage, making life harder for the entire team, but the greatsword user will be very, very cranky with you, as they really do love a chance to actually land their long-ass wind-up combo once in a while, because quite frankly they do miss with it more often than not, because it does take so long to get there, and there is no easier chance in the game than hitting a sleeping monster with it. And if you've ever tried out the greatsword, you'll know how satisfying it is to land that hit, and you don't want to take that satisfaction away from somebody, do you? You're not an arsehole, right? Right. But outside of learning how theory of mind applies to the behaviors of Monster Hunter players and how they're playing their weapon roles and how you can contribute to playing your own role, in Monster Hunter there are two somewhat linked systems at work that allow efficient, direct, communicative teamwork very seamlessly, very easily, and even encourage respectful and kind behavior, completely avoiding the near inevitable miseries of randos in voice chat while maintaining nearly all of the seamlessness that voice chat provides. Meaning, basically, absolute minimal extra control input away from actually hitting the monster. The first is a kind of auto chat. Little messages that auto-post when other players do certain actions, like placing a trap. And if you have the feature on, and it is on by default, you'll also hear a pre-recorded voice line from their player character too. "I've placed a trap," you'll hear. Or something similar. So then you'll instantly know a trap is down, and your next move should be to spot it, then try and coordinate with the rest of the team, positioning yourselves to kite the monster over to the trap, so you can then take advantage of the big damage opening it provides. There's other helpful or informative auto-posted messages too. It'll let your team know if you're stunned, for example. So if they are nearby, they'll know to hop on over and help you out. Or if they're not close enough for that, they'll know to try and draw the monster's attention away from you, so you have a chance to recover without getting smooshed. The system will even automatically apologize for you if you faint. And if someone else faints, it will automatically send a supportive message in response to them. And when you use a support item and such, like a group heal or a team buff from a hunting horn or something, again, automatic thank yous get posted. All very civilized and polite, and most importantly, never once interrupting the actual flow of combat. They are even automatically translated. So if you're playing with a Japanese player or a German player or whatever, and they have their game's language set to their native tongue, well, you post, thanks for the support, they will see, well, whatever it is in their language that means the same thing. Danke, something for the Germans, and arigato, or something for the Japanese, I suppose. What this system will not do is scream at someone for being shit, or call them homophobic or racist slurs, or imply that their mother is promiscuous and quite easy to seduce, and that you did exactly that last night. So that's a refreshing change from most multiplayer experiences, isn't it? But while that system is very helpful, or at the very least refreshingly civil, there's a second, even better, even more useful system, and it's something I wish more games would pinch from the Monster Hunter series, as no one else has done it this well if they've tried to do it at all. Quick Chat Presets. And they come in 3 flavors. The first is actually pretty common to most multiplayer games. Animated emotes for your player character to act out. Some of these play once and stop, some of these loop forever until you stop them. And some of these are accompanied by a voice line as well, like the pointing animation. You'll hear, "over there," or "look," or the thumbs up animation with a voice line like, "amazing," or "that's how you do it." Of course, you have your useless but fun stuff too, like celebratory dances and even static poses useful for screenshots and the photo mode and such. But there's also a similar thing with preset text chat messages, like "thanks for the hunt," something nice to post at the end of a quest, being joined by "you did great," or "I had fun" voice lines. These text message presets are especially useful if you have a specific goal in mind for a hunt, like being able to tell the team that you're looking to capture the monster, not kill it outright. So hopefully when the time comes, they'll know to hold back and allow for the capture. Or being able to communicate instantly that you intend to go fetch some support gatherables before engaging the monster directly, so your team knows that they have time to do the same thing, or simply to wait for you before starting the encounter without you. You've got wait commands, ready up commands, apologies, acknowledgements, and simple attack commands to make sure everyone knows when exactly to leap into action. And there's even anti-spam measures in place too, so the voice lines can't be constantly spammed to the point of annoyance, or even the text messages have spam limits. And you'll even be able to customize these with your own preset messages, although if you do that, you will of course lose the auto-translation feature, so maybe don't do that for any mission-critical stuff. Could be fun for some old-school ASCII emotes though, those don't need translating. And lastly, there's my personal favorite, the stickers. They're emotive, so they're very quick, very clear, and very visual. In Monster Hunter World, I got into the muscle memory habit of flicking my shortcut wheel to the preset of communications and flicking to the 9 o'clock for the nice simple thumbs up sticker to say thanks for the hunt to the team as soon as we dealt the final blow. And I absolutely adore the art style for the stickers in Rise. They're wonderfully emotive, so I can already see myself using them even more as my primary quick chat. And all of these have simple text snippets too, and these too are auto-translated. And as I just mentioned, and as I went through in more detail in my shortcuts guide video, you can set your most useful chat commands to any of the 4 radial menu setups for blazing fast use for your most common choices. Or you can use the action bar or a quick tap on the controller's minus button to jump right into the full chat interface to select from the entire range of preset text shoutouts, stickers, and gestures. And of course, finally, there is a full free chat input option too, if you've got something more specific or granular to communicate. But to be honest, between the awkward on-screen keyboard most people will be dealing with and the inherent speed and general usefulness of the presets, this will not be used much. In my 69 hours of Monster Hunter World on PlayStation over the last few weeks getting ready for Rise, I never once used it, and I never once saw it used by anybody else. And yes, 69. Nice. And yes, if you're wondering, the game will censor words like shit. And of course, the worst ones too. And no, these manually typed messages are not auto-translated. So again, just be aware of what you're typing and who you're typing it to. And in relation to that kind of stuff, and on a personal note, as an Australian, I'm in the same basic time zone as Japan. And it has meant my evenings in Monster Hunter World on my PS5 have very often meant being joined by Japanese players in multiplayer hunts, and being able to communicate simple, direct stuff, or even just to say thanks, with perfect clarity across language barriers with a system so carefully engineered to be quick, clear, concise, civil, and seamless, and sort of native part of the game that's just woven right into it. Well, it's not something to be sniffed at. It's absolutely wonderful. I love it. I think you're going to love it, so please make sure you use it and use it often. But thank you for watching. I am Blunty. I hope you found this useful and or entertaining. Up above are my patrons, who I thank very much for their above and beyond support. It means tons to me. So hopefully I'll see you in the hunting grounds, or something equally as snappy to sign off the Monster Hunter videos with. Happy hunting is usually the go-to. Simple, isn't it? Happy hunting!